Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us for Final Expense Sales for Beginners. My name is Matt Alina, and I am the Final Expense Manager here at URL Insurance Group. And we're going to be discussing final expense sales. Basically, we're going to be dissecting the final expense sale from the application to what the policy actually is, how you can sell and ways to sell final expense. We're going to get into all of that. At the end of the presentation, I will be taking any questions that you have pertaining to final expense sales. You can ask questions by typing those questions. I'll read those questions aloud at the end of the presentation. I will also be putting up my contact information. I encourage each and every one of you that by the end of the presentation, that at some point the next couple of days, that you give me a call so that we can discuss one-on-one what we can do to help you get started selling final expense or ways to increase your final expense sales. So we're going to have this open discussion here, and we're going to have a really good training set for you and a presentation set for you for final expense sales, and it's final expense sales for beginners. So again, we're going to be discussing opportunities in the senior life marketplace. We're going to discuss the final expense policy, where you can get leads, how to present final expense, how to get started, and then selecting the best companies to sell. And it's not necessarily going to be in this particular order, but these are going to be some of the topics that we discuss. So for a lot of you, you probably have heard about final expense and the opportunities that are out there. The opportunities are growing each and every day. Some of you on the call may be already affiliated with Medicare and working with seniors in Medicare. Well, Medicare and final expense life insurance, those numbers are pretty much identical. Your Medicare clients are also your final expense clients. Final expense clients are also Medicare clients. It really does come full circle. Now, I don't know if you know all of these numbers, but right now there's over 48 million Americans aged 65 years of age and older. And for the next 40 plus years, that number is expected to surpass 98 million Americans that will be aged 65 years of age and older. So the opportunities are there for many, many years to come. That number is going to double in the next 40 years. So there's an opportunity to get in front of people to help them with their final needs planning, as well as Medicare. From time to time, I get asked, what is the average cost of a funeral? Now, this is based on statistics today, and this is from a website called parting.com. And basically, when you start adding up all these different expenses that are out there, from funeral director services to the cost of a casket, embalming, the grave site, the markers, it adds up. The average cost, and this depends on where you live, the average cost is about $9,000, maybe rounding to $10,000. Now, that does not include the flowers or any extra fluff that goes along with the funeral service. This is just the basic meat and potatoes of getting somebody, basically give them a decent funeral and a decent burial. Now, $9,000, $10,000, for some of our clients, that is real money. Some of our clients, no joke, putting jokes aside, they can't afford to die. Maybe some of us, me included, we can't afford to die. And if I were to die today, or some of your clients were to die today, people are going to be dipping into savings. They're going to be taking up a collection to help pay for this funeral. So here you see a family in front of a casket. Now, they're concerned about money. If the person that passes away, their children or their grandchildren may have to dip into their savings in order to pay for that funeral. And who is going to pay for it? Who is responsible for it? You don't necessarily want to leave that responsibility just for the family. Your clients don't want to leave that responsibility to their family. Some people resort to going to like GoFundMe and doing different, taking up a collection with family and friends and relatives and extended family. Here is a screenshot of GoFundMe. Most of us have heard of GoFundMe. And one of the interesting things that you can do, and you can do this in front of your client, is go to, if you bring a laptop or a tablet to a presentation when you're presenting to your client, and you type in the search word funeral, which is what I did here. If you type in the search word funeral, it'll show you how many people are looking for money to pay for a funeral. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I did this, and I don't know if you recognize this number or see this number. That is 2,177,977 people looking for money for a funeral. Over 2 million people have set up a GoFundMe account to pay for a funeral. How are clients, if this is their way of being able to pay for a funeral, how are they going to be able to compete against almost 2.2 million people looking for money for to pay? How are they going to pay for that funeral? The easiest solution to paying for a funeral, tried and true, is a life insurance policy. Now, there's advantages to selling a life insurance policy. First and foremost, it eliminates Uncle Sam, because life insurance gets paid to the beneficiaries tax-free. It also avoids probate, and nobody wants to see an attorney make more money than they need. So basically, a life insurance policy eliminates Uncle Sam, it avoids probate, and it keeps attorneys out of their business. A life insurance policy is the way to go. People were asked, what is the people who have purchased life insurance, they were asked, what is the reason for purchasing life insurance? The number one reason for people purchasing life insurance, 85% of the people said that they purchase life insurance to cover burial and other final expenses. It is the number one reason why somebody is buying life insurance. It's to cover burial and final expenses. It's to alleviate their children and grandchildren from having to dip into their savings, into their hard-earned money in order to pay for their funeral. Now, a lot of people think that a final expense life insurance policy is only money that's going to go towards to a funeral home. That's not true at all. A final expense life insurance policy is just like a traditional life insurance policy where somebody is able to name their beneficiary, children, grandchildren, whoever it is. So yes, that money can be used to pay for a funeral. It can also be money used to pay for medical expenses, or to pay off or pay the mortgage, or work as income replacement, or to pay off credit card bills or car payments. Some people just want to leave money for their children or grandchildren. So a final expense life insurance policy, the person that owns that insurance policy is able to determine and dictate what that money is used for. They don't have to show an accounting for it. So again, it can be used to pay for a funeral, or it can be used to pay for a whole host of other bills and expenses that are out there. Now, what is a final expense policy? A final expense life insurance policy, in a nutshell, is a small, simplified issue, meaning no medical exam, life insurance policy, whole life life insurance policy. Typically, the ages are around 50 to 80, but the sweet spot is about 65 to 75. Now, a lot of these policies can start at younger ages, and they can also go to ages above age 80. Some of them go to age 85 or even age 90. Face amounts start around $5,000. They will track up to $25,000 or higher. There are carriers that'll even start at $2,000 or $3,000. Again, these are whole life insurance policies. So what does that mean? That means that the rate that they're paying today is based on their age today and their insurability today. They lock in that rate. That rate will never change. The clients can never outlive the coverage as long as they pay those premiums. And you see on TV advertised all the time for as little as $1 a day. So basically $30 a month can get a client coverage. So a lot of these final expense policies are affordable life insurance plans. They're based on a budget. So what you may know from selling traditional life insurance, the difference between selling traditional life insurance and selling final expense life insurance is that final expense is a budget-driven sale. So you're not selling death benefit per se. You're selling and asking the client, what can you afford each month? What can you reasonably afford each month for life insurance? So there's some advantages to offering final expense. First and foremost, like I said, they're budget-friendly plans. So you're going to work with the client and figure out a budget that they can reasonably afford. These plans are liberally underwritten. There is even guaranteed issue plans if the client can't qualify for some of these other benefits. We'll get into that in more detail here in just a couple of slides. So they're liberally underwritten. Plans are issued quickly. So the client's not having to do any medical exams. They don't need to see a nurse. They're not ordering medical records. And because these plans are issued quickly, you are paid quickly. A lot of these carriers will pay daily or even weekly commissions. So once the client is approved and the policy goes in force, you can check your bank account in the next 24 to 48 hours and see that your commissions are paid directly to you. And these plans are easy to explain, and they're easy for the client to understand. So you're going to explain to your client the premium that they're going to pay, and then explain that by paying the set fixed premium, their beneficiary is going to be guaranteed to get that set fixed death benefit amount. You don't need to explain any of the cash values. They do grow cash values, but there isn't a lot of moving pieces. So the client pays X amount of premium, and their beneficiary gets X amount of death benefit. You pay this, you get that. It's very easy to explain. It's easy to understand. You're targeting the senior market with final expense life insurance. And just like Medicare is health insurance designed for seniors in mind for the most part, final expense is life insurance designed for seniors. So you're going to have clients that have pre-existing medical conditions like diabetes. They may have had certain forms of cancer, heart attacks, strokes. Depending on when these events occurred, the client can get accepted into one of these plans. Now, the terminology in final expense is level, graded, modified. Again, the terminology is level, graded, modified. These are the benefits that the death benefits that are paid out to a beneficiary when it comes to final expense life insurance. Now, traditional life insurance, you know, there's a standard rate, there's a preferred and a super preferred. Well, with this, it's level, graded, modified. The idea here is that you try to get your clients in a level benefit plan each and every time that you present a final expense life insurance policy. What does level mean? It means that the policy's death benefit provides immediate coverage beginning on the very first day. So once the policy is in force, if the client were to die that day or any time after that, the full death benefit is being paid to the beneficiary day one. Now, there are going to be clients that are going to have some medical problems that may keep them from getting a level plan. That's where you get a graded benefit. What does a graded benefit mean? That means that the policy's death benefit provides full coverage after 2 years. So if the death occurs in the first 2 years, the beneficiary is going to get a percentage of the death benefit. So if the client dies in the first year, the beneficiary may only get 30% of the death benefit. If they die in the second year, they may get 60 or 70% of the death benefit. And then in the third year going on forward, then it's the full death benefit going full on. Now with these graded plans, and we'll also learn modified plans. Modified plans are basically like a return of premium plus interest. Again, if the client's health keeps them from getting a level or graded plan, modified is typically your guaranteed issue plans. That's where a policy's death benefit provides full coverage after 2 years. Now, if death occurs in the first 2 years, the beneficiary gets the premiums paid plus interest. So some of the guaranteed issue plans that we sell here are companies like AIG and Gerber. So if death occurs in the first 2 years, the beneficiary is going to get return of all of the premiums that have been paid into the policy plus 10% interest. So getting some coverage is better than having no coverage at all. Now, with the graded and modified plans, the thing to understand is that if the client dies by accidental causes, meaning a car accident, plane crash, something like that, the death benefit is available day one. But for natural causes, the graded and modified death benefit pays out in those first 2 years how the contract specifies. So again, level, graded, modified. Each and every time that you are presenting final expense, you're trying to get them into a level benefit plan. That is your goal each and every time. But again, if the client's health keeps them from getting a level plan, then you may have to go to a graded or guaranteed issue modified death benefit situation. So how do you know what the client is going to qualify for? The easiest way to do it is by looking at the application. You're going to select companies that you want to sell, you want to represent, and you're going to look at the applications. Now, you'll see in this application, there are 3 sections to this application. There is Section 1, Section 2, Section 3. And it's based on level, graded, modified. And you'll see the instructions here when the client answers questions. So level, graded, modified. So what your idea here is you're going to ask these questions. The very first section of questions is to determine whether the client has to go with a guaranteed issue plan. So the idea here is hopefully the client can answer the first section of questions no. If they can answer no to these questions, then you move on to the next section of questions. Now, another thing to point out is with final expense life insurance plans, the questions are asked based on timeline. So a client could have had a heart attack, cancer, or a stroke. And the way they ask the question is in the past 12 months, in the past 24 months, and then they'll go into what the question is. So if the client can answer no to all of these questions in this second section, they're probably going to be able to qualify for a graded benefit plan. If they can answer all of the questions no, even in the third section, that means they're going to be able to qualify for that level benefit plan. So the idea is to be able to ask the questions and get them to answer no to all of those questions that are asked. So if the client can answer no to all these questions, they get a level benefit plan. If they can answer no to the questions in the first 2 sections, that's typically a graded benefit. And if they can answer no to all 3 questions, all 3 sections, that's level. So if they can't answer questions in the very first section, those are the knockout questions, that means guaranteed issue. Now, after you've asked the medical questions and you've basically determined that the client can potentially qualify for the level benefit plan, you're going to pick up the phone and do a phone interview. Now, not all carriers do a point of sale phone interview, but the underwriting process, you do the medical questions. When the carrier, if you do the phone interview, after you do a point of sale phone interview, that will help you determine whether or not the client is going to be able to qualify for that plan at that point of sale. They'll review the application with the client. You're going to tell them who you are. You're going to hand the phone to the client, do the phone interview. They're going to basically review the same medical questions that you just asked the client. While they're asking those questions, they're reviewing the MIB and prescription database. This is all stuff that is going on behind the scenes at the insurance carrier. And then during that phone interview, which usually is about 15 to 20 minutes. There are times where it will take longer. They're going to render an underwriting decision. Usually you can get same-day approvals, but there are some carriers where it may take 3 to 5 business days in order to get that underwriting approval. So it's really about 5 steps. Phone interview, review the application, they do the MIB, prescription database, and then they render a decision. So another question that I get asked from time to time is, where do I get my leads? With final expense, just like Medicare, with final expense, leads are the lifeblood of this industry. You need leads in order to sell. Now here with URL, we have vetted a lot of different lead vendors to help you find an affordable lead option. So we have lead options for direct mail. We have telemarketed leads. We have social media leads, and we also have internet search leads. So here are the costs that are associated with it. So direct mailers. You can do a 1,000-piece mail drop for around $450 to $500. You pick the area that you want to target. The leads are going exclusively to you. Now, there's also a guaranteed per lead mailer, meaning that the lead vendor will do as many mailers to get you the requested number of lead results that you're looking for. So if you're looking for 20 leads, which is the minimum, the average cost per lead is around $30 to $35 a piece. Again, these are exclusive leads. You are targeting the area that you want to work. And again, these leads are going exclusively to you. So they're not going to you and a bunch of other agents. They're going specifically to you. The same thing for teleleads. We have a lead vendor that does verified teleleads, where they'll take it a step further to make sure the client realizes that you're going to be calling them to talk to them about life insurance. Those are around 10 lead minimum order, $25 a lead. You're guaranteed to get those 10 leads. So $250 will get you those 10 leads. Now, you can also do some other basic telemarketer leads. There's a bunch of different lead vendors out there. Those costs range anywhere between $13 and $15. And a lot of these companies don't have any minimum lead orders, but a lot of times you want to do about 10, 15 to 20 leads if you can afford that. Again, these are all exclusive leads. So these are leads where you are working directly with the lead vendor to get those results. With Facebook leads, those are $30 a lead with a 20 lead minimum order. Now, with 20 leads, we've had agents use this lead option. And with the leads, you're not getting a large number in response, but the people who are buying are spending higher premium dollars. So those are $30 a lead, 20 lead minimum order. And then there's internet search leads. Those are $34.95 a lead. You do have to give a 1-month commitment. And it's internet search leads. Basically, the entire state is your territory. So if people do a Google search or a Bing search for final expense and it's in your state, that lead gets sent directly to you. So all these leads are exclusive. You have your own defined sales territory. We can come up with some affordable options that are available to you. You have your own targeted demographics. So they're going to be targeting people who will be in the final expense marketplace. So around age 50 to 80. You can tweak that a little bit here and there. So you could say, okay, age 55 to 75 if you want. Understand that here at URL, we're basically putting you in touch with the lead vendor. We are not making any money from your lead orders. URL does not get paid for you to buy leads through us. We don't get paid. We get paid through you selling life insurance, through you selling these final expense plans. So URL does not get paid until you get paid. Now, one of the things that we also do is we subsidize your lead costs based on your production. So for every $1,000 of annualized final expense premium that you place each month, we're going to give you $50 to apply towards a lead order. So if you did $5,000 during the month of February, you're going to get a $250 lead credit from us. Now, here's one of the nice things about our lead subsidy. You can use one of the lead vendors that we have, or you can utilize your own lead vendor. So we can work something out, but we subsidize your lead costs. Our final expense sales program, like I mentioned before, they're exclusive leads. We have lead subsidies. We provide sales support, marketing, and training. That sales support is one-on-one with either case managers or with me to help you with marketing, with training, application support. We have competitive carriers paying top commissions. When you work with URL, you're working with URL, not for URL. We do not have production requirements, and we do not have any pyramid schemes where you need to recruit other agents to work in your hierarchy. Your commissions are vested day one with URL. We can offer 9-month advances if that's what you want. And we do have agency contracts available. So for some of you that are on this call, you have your own insurance agency, we can work out something where commissions get paid directly to your sales team if you want to do it that way, and we can work out some different things there. So we do have agency contracts available. You do not need to participate in our lead program to earn commission levels. Here's a kind of a snapshot of some of our final expense carriers that we have in our portfolio. So if you break that down, we'll kind of go over some of the carriers that are some of our bigger sellers here at URL. For guaranteed issue, our two top sellers are AIG and Gerber. That's the modified death benefit that we were talking about earlier today, where the clients, it's guaranteed issue, so there are no medical questions asked. And if death occurs in the first 2 years, the beneficiary gets a return of the premiums paid plus 10% interest. So AIG and Gerber do that. Those are our two top sellers for guaranteed issue. So you do want to have a guaranteed issue company in your portfolio. And then we have some other carriers for level benefit and graded benefit plans that are also some really top sellers here. For level and graded for really inexpensive rates, Oxford Life is one of our top sellers for that. We also have Transamerica and Mutual of Omaha. Transamerica and Mutual of Omaha are household names. People have heard of them. Mutual of Omaha has really competitive rates. Transamerica has competitive rates, but they also do not ask questions about a client's height and weight. And then if you're looking for an added hook, Foresters is another top seller. Foresters is a fraternal company, which means they offer member benefits. And some of the member benefits that are very attractive, especially to clients that want to be able to help their children and grandchildren, is Foresters offers competitive college scholarships, in addition to a whole bunch of other things. So those are some of our top sellers. There are some other companies that are coming out of the woodwork here in the last couple of months. Liberty Bankers Life is another one because of their liberal underwriting. So there's some really good opportunities there. There's another company that we've added that's not on this list, and that's Royal Neighbors. Royal Neighbors does not ask height and weight. They're a fraternal company as well, and they have a 2-year look back on most significant medical ailments, like heart attacks, cancer, strokes. So how do you know who's going to be competitive? We have a final expense quote engine on our website. So if you go to urlinsgroup.com/Aries, and then you go to quoting tools, you'll see that we have a quote engine where you put in the client's information, and then the website does the selling for you. And like I said, it does the selling for you. Now, I would not recommend that you use this quote engine in front of the client. This is really more or less a way to help you calculate premiums quickly. So you can put in the client specs, their date of birth, male, female, tobacco, non-tobacco, and the amount of coverage, and then get some rates quickly without having to go to each carrier's rate book or each carrier's app. And this quote engine is user-friendly on our website, or it's mobile-friendly, so you can download this or access this from your cell phone, smartphone, and be able to get quotes quickly as well. So I want to break down the 5 steps to a final expense sale. There are 5 steps to a final expense sale. Step 1, know the companies you sell. So when you select the carriers, and I can help you with selecting the carriers, you'll want to take a look at agent guides and the application and kind of know the ins and outs. Know the questions, the medical questions that the company asks when it comes to heart attacks, cancer, strokes, diabetes, lupus, MS, just the different loopholes that they have in their application, and know the benefits that the client has or that the companies have for your clients. Some different sales tools and resources. Are there college scholarships? Do they offer grandchild riders or child riders? Things that'll help you kind of take that sale over the top and get the client to sign on the dotted line. After you know the companies that you sell and you're in front of the client, determine your client's needs. Are they looking for money for a burial? Are they looking for money to pay off their mortgage, car payments? What are they looking for that benefit to do? Are they looking to just pass on money to their children or grandchildren? So determine your client's needs. Once you've determined their needs, Assess the client's health and qualifications, meaning what is their budget? What can they afford? What company will be their best fit based on their pre-existing medical conditions? So assess the client's health, assess their qualifications. Once you've done the assessing of the application, complete the application. So once you've assessed the client's health and what the best carrier is going to be based on their pre-existing medical conditions and their budget, fill out the application. If you have to do a point of sale phone interview, do that, and then close the sale. So breaking it down, know the companies you sell. What are the product features? What are their underwriting specialties? Some of the companies have some underwriting niches, like they don't ask height and weight questions, or they don't care about an insulin diabetic or a type 2 diabetic. What are the rates? What added benefits does the company that you're looking to sell, do they have? What do they offer? So know the companies that you sell. Determine your client's needs. Do they have children or grandchildren? There is no denying that link between a grandparent and a grandchild. So perhaps their need is they just want to leave a little bit of money for their child or their grandchildren to be able to go to college, or maybe they can buy a car. Maybe it's not to pay for the funeral expenses. Maybe they have that covered, or they have some savings, but they want to leave some money aside for their children or grandchildren. They can do that. What are their concerns? Ask them what their concerns are. Ask them what their hot topics are. By asking them that, you'll be able to determine what is going to close the client. What is the client's budget? And when you're asking the client's budget, maybe they tell you it's $50 a month or $60 a month. Ask them, are you sure? Because we may have a really hot summer or a really cold winter, which means their energy costs may be higher. Do they have a little bit of buffer in between, that if they have unexpected expenses, that they don't pay their insurance premiums so that they can pay their electric bill or their gas bill or whatever it is? And how are they paying for the funeral? Who is responsible for paying? Now you can determine your client's needs. We have one of the handouts on our webinar today, and it is the top 5 lead-in questions for final expense. You can download that now. And this basically helps you to help determine your client's needs. So you can determine your client's needs. Ask one of the top 5 lead-in questions. So going into step 3, which is determine or assess your client's health and qualifications. Do they have any pre-existing medical conditions? Again, do they have a strict budget? Or maybe they need a company that accepts special billing. Perhaps they're on a fixed income and they don't have a checking account, so they need their billing to go through Social Security, Direct Express. There are companies that do that. So we can help you with that. So we can help you with assessing the health and qualifications. Special needs, some different curveballs that are there. Moving on to step 4, which is completing the application. So you're going to want to go through the medical questions first before you fill out the entire application. So you're going to be doing your field underwriting by asking those medical questions. If the client can answer those questions, all those questions no, then pick up the phone, do the point of sale phone interview if it is required. So while the client is doing their phone interview, they're going to hand the phone back to you. They're going to give you an underwriting decision at that point of sale. You're going to complete the rest of the paperwork, naming the beneficiary, name, address, phone number, all that good stuff, and then you're going to submit the application. You can either submit the application to us here at URL to process for you, or you can send it directly to the carrier. And after you've completed the application steps, the last thing is to close the sale. So review the insurance coverage and the benefits with your client. Go over the premium and the draft dates so that they know, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Client, we're going to be drafting your very first premium 1 month from today, or on the 5th of each month. Mark that down somewhere so that you don't have any mistakes in your checkbook. Answer any questions that they have. Mr. and Mrs. Client, do you have any questions? And then ask for referrals. Mr. or Mrs. Client, is there anybody that you know that could benefit from sitting down and discussing the same things that we've discussed here? Ask for referrals. The referrals are also a major lifeline for final expense sales. Ask people, ask the names and numbers for people of their peers that also could benefit from sitting down and talking to you. And importantly, thank the client for their business and follow up. A lot of people in this business fail to follow up. So after a month or maybe after a couple of weeks, follow up the client. Just wanted to let you know, again, the premiums are going to be drafting in 2 weeks from today. See if they have any questions. Basically, make yourself available to your client. So those are the 5 steps to a final expense life insurance sale. So with our final expense, we have a final expense sales playbook. Now, our final expense sales playbook is designed specifically for you. It's based on you and what your goals are. So we can help you put together sales scripts, PowerPoint presentations. We have turnkey marketing materials. We, again, have exclusive leads that fit any budget, whether it's direct mail, telemarketed leads. We subsidize your leads. Your lead subsidies based on your production could ultimately lead to free leads. Now, we can do some one-on-one coaching, team coaching, agent networking. When you work with us, we're looking at this as a partnership, not where you're working for us, you're working with us. We're working here to help you grow your business. And in addition to the lead subsidies and all the other things that you do with us here, we're also doing a final expense fresh start bonus. So for every final expense application for your first 60 days of selling final expense with URL, we will give you $25 per final expense case that you place. Now, here are some of the details. You have to either be new to URL or you have never done final expense business with URL in the past 2 years. We will give you $25 for every placed application within the first 60 days, and it's a $500 minimum annual premium. So if it's the final expense is less than $500, that doesn't qualify for the bonus. And you can use this bonus to either purchase more leads or you can use it as a cash incentive, and you still qualify for the lead subsidies. Those lead subsidies, again, $50 for every $1,000 of final expense annualized premium that you place. Now, each and every one of you that is on the call today, you have the ability to do this. Any one of you can really make a decent living doing this, but there is a recipe. There's something that you need to bring to the table. First and foremost, you do need to bring hard work. You also need to bring self-discipline, dedication, perseverance, because you are going to hear a lot of no's, and you have to be motivated. But one of the best things about this is that you're working for yourself. And if you have the self-discipline, you have the perseverance and the hard work and the motivation, you're working for yourself, and you can basically be the world's best boss. You answer to yourself. So for those of you who are on the call today and listening to this, this web training, are you ready to get started? Here are the 5 steps to getting started. We'll help you select the companies that you want to sell. You'll submit the contracting paperwork. We'll get you the marketing materials and we'll help you order leads. And then once you start getting those leads, you can make appointments. And really, it's time to get started. So select the companies you want to sell, submit the contracting paperwork, get the marketing materials, order leads, and make appointments. Now at this point in time, I'm going to open this up for any questions that you might have for final expense. I know a lot of questions have come in while we've been going through this. So again, for those of you that don't have any questions, you could stick around, and maybe some of these questions that are going to be asked are questions you didn't think of. So stay tuned here. So let me see here. Shara asked a really good question. She said, are there final expense or whole life policies available with long-term care riders as an option, or that would pay out some money? for a terminal illness kind of diagnosis. This is the other big concern that seems to be coming up during this kind of conversation. Oh, I'm sorry. This is actually Stephanie. Stephanie, thank you for your call. Are there final expense? Let me ask this question again so everybody knows the question. So are there final expense or whole life policies available with a long-term care rider as an option, or that would pay out some money for a terminal illness kind of diagnosis? This is the other big concern that seems to often come up during this kind of conversation. So with final expense life insurance policies, you're usually just selling a death benefit. There are some carriers that are coming up with some different little bells and whistles that are added to it that you can do an add-on. Some of them is like a nursing home rider. Now, some of them may pay a little bit of the benefit. Now, keep in mind with final expense life insurance policies, you're looking at death benefits, average death benefit around 10 to 15,000. So that to answer your question, there are life insurance policies out there that have a long-term care rider, or a terminal illness benefit or an accelerated benefit. When it comes to that, they may have to go through full underwriting. That's not necessarily under final expense. So to kind of answer the question and kind of summarize, there are some final expense carriers out there that do offer some extra little bells and whistles. With smaller death benefits come smaller riders that come along with that. So if you're looking for something that truly covers long-term care or critical illness, something like that, they would probably have to go through full underwriting. We do have carriers in our portfolio that can help you with that. What is the typical commission per application is a question that Joe just asked. Very good question, Joe. Most of the commissions start on the low end, about 100%. Some of the carriers go 105, 110, 115, 120, 125. It really depends on the company that you're selling and whether it's a level, graded, or modified benefit. So the typical commissions, like I said, start on the low end at 100%. Guaranteed issue, those carriers are generally around 60, 70%. A lot of these carriers do pay renewals, which is also a nice thing. So in addition to the first year commissions, you can get higher commissions there. So I hope that answers your questions. And 9-month advances, and you are fully vested day one with us, Joe, which means that if for whatever reason we're not living up to our expectations, your business follows you, your commissions follow you. We don't control that. And the commissions get paid directly to you from the carrier in most situations. Okay, Michael asked, how do we find out who needs final expense services and do we cold call? A couple of things you could do, and this all depends on what you're currently doing, Michael. You can order leads. We have a lot of different lead options, whether they're direct mail pieces, telemarketed leads, social media leads like Facebook or internet search leads. That'll get you in touch. They're doing most of the cold calling. They're basically getting you in touch with interested parties. Now you're going to have to do a little bit of fact finding. You're going to have to do a little bit of salesmanship to get the appointment. So when you get that lead, you're going to want to get the appointment. That's going to be the big, that's going to be the goal when you call that person. Usually when you have the appointment, you're able to close that sale. It's usually a one appointment close. So I hope that answers your questions there. Derek asked, do carriers offer burial funeral assistance to the family? That is an excellent question, Derek. There's actually a program through Mutual of Omaha that you would have access to, and it's called Legacy Safeguard. When you get contracted with Mutual of Omaha through your relationship with us here at URL, you get Legacy Safeguard. Legacy Safeguard has a program which I call their funeral concierge service, which basically they can help the family locate a funeral home. They'll go through the billing and make sure that the family is not getting overcharged for something, or if Legacy Safeguard has a cheaper alternative, that they'll get the client in touch with that cheaper alternative. They're trying to keep as much money in the client's family as possible, in their pockets as possible. I hope that makes sense. So and that's free of charge. So they will help with that. They'll also help the family with bereavement airfare, hotels if they need to get hotels, car rentals. They do a lot of that stuff to allow the family to grieve. So that's Legacy Safeguard. That is a benefit, and I usually recommend Mutual of Omaha to just about everybody that is getting contracted. When you're selecting contracting, Mutual of Omaha, and the main reason, besides it being a household name, is Legacy Safeguard. And the other nice thing about Legacy Safeguard is you can offer Legacy Safeguard to any client, whether they get an insurance policy through you or not. So highly recommend that. Edward asks, do most carriers carry all 3 levels of coverage? No, not all carriers offer 3 levels of coverage. Some of them will just offer a level plan, and that's it. Oxford is just a level benefit. If they don't qualify for the level benefit, they're done. They don't qualify for anything. There are companies that just have a level and a graded benefit. Some companies will have 2 different level benefits. Companies like Transamerica and Liberty Bankers, they have 2 level benefit plans. They have a preferred and a standard, and then they have their modified death benefit. So not all carriers carry all 3 levels. So I hope that answers your question there, Ed. Another thing, and this is something that I forgot to mention, if you're on an appointment and it's during business hours, feel free to call me or shoot me a quick email with what's going on with your client. I have all the applications at my fingertips that I can go through my binder and try to find a company that offers a level benefit plan. For agents that are outside of Pennsylvania, you're basically in a licensed, just-in-time licensing state, which means I can get you the application at that point of sale, and you can submit the application, and we can get the licensing processed all at the same time. So there's an advantage to being outside of Pennsylvania. So I hope that answers your question there, Edward. Vincent. Hi, Vincent. Thanks for joining us. Can we download the final expense quote engine to our smartphones to save time during the appointment? I don't believe it's downloadable, but you can bookmark the link so that it is available quicker than having to actually go through the website. So bookmark our website or bookmark our final expense quote engine, and that way it's just 1 or 2 clicks and you're able to do it that way. So it's not a downloadable quote engine, but you can bookmark it through the website. Again, that website is urlinsgroup.com/Aries, and you'll go to Life Markets and Quoting Tools. If there's any other questions, feel free to type those questions. I'll be happy to get those questions answered for you. Here's my contact information. You can reach me toll free at 800-926-8875. My direct extension is 141. If you want to bypass our switchboard altogether, you can call me direct. My direct line here at URL, 717-216-8041. That's 717-216-8041. I hope that this really kind of opened your eyes to the opportunities that are available in the final expense marketplace and working with the seniors and selling life insurance. We have an outstanding sales platform here. I encourage each and every one of you to give me a call so that we can help you with selecting carriers, getting leads, getting the marketing materials, and ultimately making a decent living selling senior life insurance. So thank you very much for your time. I don't see any other questions coming in. We had a real full house here. So again, thank you very much. My number is again 800-926-8875 extension 141, or my direct line 717-216-8041. I'm here to help. I'm here to help serve you. Let me know what I can do to help. So thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to helping you in your final expense endeavors. Thank you.